Shut up and sit down.
Howdy and salutations. Welcome to Broken Table Commentary, a three-man creative debate podcast all about the greatest of fake sports professional wrestling. Every week, we each bring a different topic to the table. The topics can be ridiculous or serious, opinion or factual, creative or not, whatever we feel like, and as always, the topics for this week are in the description. On commentary, we have our Mark, the debonair diabetic dad, Lenton.
Hello, everybody.
Our historian, the Scottish boy wonder, Michael, who is unfortunately still a sicky boy. And me, our critic, Jessel. You can follow us on SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook as Broken Table Commentary, or directly at BrokenTableCommentary.com, as requested episodes are now downloadable on SoundCloud, and new episodes are broadcast every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is episode number 18, Entertainment Console. The Smackdown-only pay-per-view Battleground is coming in a week, which means we got another... Goodness, they just have so many... We have so many pay-per-views, but we're going to always predict them. Plus, we've all got entertainment on the brain, so we're thinking of lots of interesting new entertainment ideas. That's the theme for the week.
I like it.
Good.
Hopefully Michael is being entertainingly sick and not just regular sick.
I'm pretty sure he's being sleepily sick.
Well, maybe he's having like an extra entertaining dream. Like he's a clown or something.
That'd be nice.
This is a shout out to Michael. I hope you're having a dream about being a clown.
We're also, for just so you guys know, I am the main editor of the show, and I have a new setup because of 2 episodes ago us losing all of my audio. So my wife and I rushed to get a new computer and a new setup, and we're trying to record things in a different way. So we're trying to keep pushing out and get better and better at this podcast thing. Hopefully soon, Lenny, our webmaster, will be setting up an RSS feed, which will be really good, which means we can get on iTunes and Google Play, all that.
I will definitely do that.
Yeah.
I just keep forgetting.
It'll be really cool. So Michael has given us all our answers, and that's good. So we do have a week of wrestling to talk about, and, well, goodness, we do have at least one very interesting topic to talk about. Kurt Angle had a baby boy.
He had didn't he already have a son, like in real life?
Oh,
or
yeah.
Or did he just have daughters?
Who cares about real life? We're talking about wrestling life. He has a wrestling son.
When they do the package, the video package, they show him at home, and it always looks like it's just him holding little girls and stuff. So I actually wasn't sure if he had sons or not.
I don't know.
Now he's got a big mixed race stud muffin son.
That's right. Jason Jordan has been revealed as the illegitimate son of Kurt Angle, finishing up the story of or as Michael put it, the Angle.
Yeah.
Get it?
I get
it. I don't know what you think about it. I know what I think about it, honestly. But Michael had some very strong opinions, which is very funny. I always like when he has strong opinions. Michael says this Angle pushes both of American Alpha, possibly, but also prevents Gable from being the one who could potentially crash and burn, which is good. With the illegitimate son Angle. This entire angle, though, doesn't make any sense to him. Why is Angle worried how people would react to him having a kid in a consensual relationship when he wasn't married and he had no idea about the kid? He doesn't like it.
I think the worry there, and it helps that I've been watching Transparent, which is a show on Amazon about a trans parent. And one of the characters has just found out that he has a son who's high school age that he didn't know about, that the pregnancy was hidden from him. His parents paid off a church to keep it hidden. And the stigma that you get from it is that people don't believe it usually, because we live in a day and age where most of the time or not, obviously not most of the time, but we see a lot of the times the dads don't want anything to do with the babies when they're not married to the mother, because they think it's gonna ruin their lives. So they will say, hey, that's not my kid, I'm out of here. That is a thing that we see happen in real life a lot. So I absolutely get why Angle would be worried that people wouldn't believe him.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's also a racial component.
Yeah, which definitely adds to why he would be a little bit more on edge about coming out there. And you don't want to go right out and say, oh, it's because it's a race. You don't want to go out and say, oh, it's because it's a raced kid. But yeah, it is.
And I mean, it's not like it's new information that Kurt Angle has the jungle fever. Kurt Angle has always liked the black ladies. And I mean, who doesn't? But he specifically had a storyline about wanting to sexually assault Charmel. I think I remember that happened. He definitely had a rapport in love for Shelton Benjamin and his mama or grandmama. So this is nothing new that it's interracial with Kurt Angle, which I actually really like. That kind of continuity, that kind of character choice doesn't normally keep showing back up. So it's actually kind of nice that it did.
Yeah, there is nothing I don't like about the fact that it was Jason Jordan being his son was the big reveal. Not a single wrestling website was calling it. I love the fact that when Kurt Angle is on the cell phone last week and he says, I love you, everybody in the world goes, oh, he must be talking to someone he's romantically involved with. He must be talking to someone that he wants to sleep with or is sleeping with because he said, I love you. Like, we didn't even think he could say that to a child. Like, that's just how we all think when it comes to saying the words I love you, that it had to be like Dixie Carter or Stephanie or another woman. And I love the fact that it wasn't. That's how he talked to his son. Yeah. That is awesome. That makes me so happy.
I wish I had it in writing, because I had an inkling it'd be one of the two, but I didn't say it anywhere, so it doesn't really count. There's no proof, so, it doesn't count. But I had an inkling it'd be I had an inkling it'd be his son, because when it comes down to it, it made the most sense to give a character the rub. But ultimately, I do have a problem with it. And this is now not because of the angle itself, but what the angle does for other shows. Another tag team got ripped apart. We've ripped apart, 4 tag teams in 1 month? You can't have a tag division by ripping apart all the tag teams, Vince McMahon. This is going to be good for Jason Jordan, and Chad Gable's match with AJ Styles last week was really good. So both of them are going to be fine, but the tag division isn't going to be fine. And that's really frustrating because it's the division they clearly care about the least.
So I know you didn't have a problem with, this is the first I've heard you complain, or I would not complain, express dislike for the fact that they're breaking up tag teams. I know you were a fan of the Enzo. You liked what they were doing, the Enzo and Cass. You were somewhat interested to see what they're going to do with the Golden Truth. So is this so much that it was American Alpha, or so much like if they would have broken up any other tag team, you would have been disappointed at this point?
It's because of how many are being broken up. It's more that the division is now incredibly thin, not that the individual teams get broken up. I actually think all the stories for all the breakups, other than Golden Truth because it didn't go anywhere, I think all of them make sense. All of them work perfectly fine. Hell, American Alpha had an amicable breakup because Kurt Angle brought his son over to Raw. That's not bad. That's good, The big Cass Enzo thing, there was a whole storyline for it, and it made sense, and that's good. Golden Truth, they've been given these great promos. Like, the actual breakups are fine. It's the fact that we're having all of them happen now. There's now, 4 tag teams on Raw and 3 on SmackDown? 4 on SmackDown. That's not, you can't run a division that way. You can't run a tag division with just 4 people, with 4 teams. Trying to predict, like, for the future and stuff is so hard to do, and it just makes the tag belts you can't have a division if the only storyline in that division that matters is the one around the belt. You know? Like, the women's division stuff, all of that's fine, but what's making the SmackDown women's division look so good is all the competition outside of Naomi in the championship, who has her own storyline stuff going on. Whereas all the Raw stuff is just about Alexa Bliss. And as good as Alexa Bliss is, it means that you have a bunch of great women doing nothing. Emma just tweeted out that she spent her fourth or fifth year anniversary in the company sitting and catering. That's ridiculous. She's one of the best wrestlers on Raw, man or woman. I realized that I segued hard left. But no, each individual story is good, and I actually do think they're doing well. It's just, they're ripping apart every tag team.
No, I definitely agree with that, and I think I would have more of a problem with it if it wasn't for the fact that I don't think that's the problem. I mean, it's that's not the problem with the Cruiserweight division, because when they have quantity and they have all these that's the Cruiserweight tag team division, when they have all these tag teams, they still don't know what to do with them, and they don't really book it in the way of, oh, there's other teams competing and rising up in the rankings. They're not using them well when they have all of them, so it doesn't really bother me that everybody's getting broken up.
It bothers me for the same reason it bothered me when random tag team of two random people with no name held the titles for 200 days in 2011, followed by another random team that held it for forever, because they never defended it. Like, that's the problem. There's just no actual sports competition going on. And don't get me wrong, I think that WWE has always been really good at the entertainment part. But man, do they fucking hate the sports part sometimes.
Yeah. My one of my old friends always said that he would like wrestling a whole lot more if you maybe had one or two storylines on an episode and then everything else felt like a sport and you're just competing to try and move up and down rankings. I don't think I would go that far, as I do like my crazy drama triangles and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
I definitely think there's more of a balance to be struck than what WWE is currently doing. But I did want to mention that when we were talking about the tag teams on SmackDown, that it does seem that WWE is at least considering keeping the Hype Bros together. There was no segment involving them. They were just put in a dark match where they didn't do any of their, apparently they didn't do any of the will they, won't they end up fighting each other stuff. They just did a regular babyface. They're just acting like a babyface tag team currently at the moment. So it is possible that we have 5 legit tag teams on SmackDown with the Hype Bros.
Well, 4 legit tag teams in the Ascension.
Yeah, I was counting the Ascension as legit, but yeah, they don't, I mean, they had a pay-per-view match recently, so,
They did, it's true.
And it was a good...
I want a tag team revolution, just like we had a women's one. Not because, the women's one is more important for political whatever, but for my selfish, personal reasons, I just want the damn thing to be good again. The best tag team division the WWE ever had was during 2000. When they had 8 teams, they were all friends, they all stayed teams, and there were multiple feuds going on with those teams. That's when it was at its best.
Yeah,
I don't understand why they don't know how to do it again.
Yeah, I would argue 2000 or 2004, both of them had, in 2004, the WrestleMania 20, you could have 2 tag team title matches that were fatal 4-way tag team title matches where any of those tag teams could have legitimately won the belts, and it would feel like, okay, that makes sense because there were so many tag teams competing that made sense at the time. So yeah,
and there were tag teams that weren't in those matches. There was an actual division. Other than all of that, Battleground Smackdown was essentially a very lazy show. It was just, kind of the standard go home, nothing important happened. Raw, we talked about the Angle reveal, but other than that, nothing really important happened. I'm trying to think of anything else important happen outside of the WWE, but I can't think of anything.
No, nothing worth mentioning. It's not just idle gossip.
Yeah. Michael does have and I do like idle gossip, but I can't think of any, so I'm just not going to bring it up. Michael does have a line of the week.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, nice. Michael's is, the most aggressive I've ever seen the Big Show, from Michael Cole. Yeah, this is the stupidest, most dumb, placated, in his ear, nonsense, doesn't mean anything line ever. That's the most aggressive you ever seen Big Show? Him getting beat up by Big Cass?
And Corey, this wasn't my favorite line, but it was a great one when he said that getting hit by the Big Show was like getting hit with a frying pan in the soul. That was a great one.
Oh, frying pan in the soul. That one is good. Man, Corey Graves is so good.
Yeah. My favorite one was, it's not Alexa's fault that Bailey doesn't have any friends. That was my favorite line. When
the commentary's killing it.
When Michael was complaining about Nia being on the outside. Or Nia. That was my favorite line.
And of course, Michael wanted to make sure that we were adequately upset for him that once again a champ loses a non-title match.
What are we talking about? A champ loses a non-title match?
Yeah.
Which one is? Oh, Alexa?
Yeah, Alexa. To Bailey. You were right. I mean, you said it. I was hoping that WWE would be smarter than that, but you were right. It was just, no. We'll job out Bailey for a month. And then next month she gets wins over Alexa, even though she couldn't do it.
I mean, that's kind of their way of doing it with the. Yeah.
That's
why I feel
50-50.
like Enzo could easily have a main title run.
You're
that's
right.
all they have to do.
I mean, you're right.
And the fans eat it up. They don't care.
You're right. The fans are idiots. They should demand. We should demand better from this company.
They're not idiots. I disagree with that entirely.
Do you disagree with the entire statement entirely, or just fans are idiots entirely?
Just the fans are idiots part.
All right, then we got no problems here.
Good.
Let's go ahead and move on to our first topic.
Okay.
This is my topic now. Since this is Entertainment Console, one of the best little short film wrestling things I've ever seen, and we've talked about it before, is Wrestling Isn't Wrestling. It's by Max Landis with a whole bunch of great cosplayers and actors playing out the character arc of Triple H in a 22-minute short film that's quick and funny without any wrestling in it. It's just showing the character arc. And it really is phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, if you have seen it but have friends trying to ask you, like, what is wrestling? Like, that's what you show them. Because for some people, the actual wrestling part is hard to get over. But storylines are storylines, and characters are characters, and that's a great way to do it. So I posited to the group, what if there was a Wrestling Isn't Wrestling 2? What other wrestler's character would make a great sequel? So pick another wrestler that you'd like to see that kind of see their story from beginning to end, or most of their story, you know?
Yeah, the interesting things about Wrestling Isn't Wrestling. The first thing you mentioned is that there is no wrestling in it. That you can, and that's one of the reasons that I had a hard time getting into it at first, because I watched it with somebody who didn't watch wrestling, and they thought, oh, this is really cool. I really like this. This is really neat. And it does cover Triple H's career in 20 minutes, but to actually sit down and watch everything it covers, you're sitting down for decades and decades of wrestling of Triple H, and a lot of those matches are crappy ass matches, and a lot of those storylines have plenty of stuff that get glossed over that were crappy, and that's perfectly fine. The whole point of the little documentary is to take the wrestler's career and highlight the stuff and condense it and play to the character and the storyline part, and to basically ignore the wrestling part of it, which is weird to say. But that is the whole thing about
I mean, that is the name. Wrestling Isn't Wrestling.
Which is, it's a weird thing to watch. Also, if you're a longtime wrestling fan, I know of some longtime wrestling fans who do not like the wrestling isn't wrestling thing, and I can understand why they don't like it. Yeah,
I've never heard a complaint. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I can understand it because it does give people who don't know wrestling kind of a misconception as to what they go in to expect. But it is something super neat, and because it does gloss over the really boring stuff and the matches and whatnot, and we are going with somebody's story that I think would be really cool to see. I think Randy Orton's story would be really cool to see in this wrestling isn't wrestling format. Personally, I think having this young guy who has this wrestling career handed to him because of his dad being a legend and his grandfather being a legend, and then he gets all these opportunities because of his dad, and then he gets locked in with Triple H and Ric Flair and these other legends, and he doesn't like the stereotype that he gets stuck with, so he's trying to become a legend killer. So he's trying to fight the stereotype of needing to rely on the legends by being the legend killer at the same time. And the whole story of, basically, if you are going to condense it down into 20 minutes and ignore a lot of the lame stuff that happens in Randy Orton's career, which is what wrestling isn't wrestling does with Triple H, he basically turns into the thing he hated so much at the start of his career. So now we have Randy Orton, who is considered the veteran legend, and he's fighting the guys like Bray Wyatt and Jinder Mahal and Aiden English. So it's a really interesting story when you put it into the context of a little 20-minute creative thing. I think Randy Orton's would definitely be on there. I have others too, but that is one of the ones. I didn't know if I could only pick one or if I could have several.
I mean, if you want to talk about more, that's fine. I know for me personally, Randy's story doesn't work for me for the legitimate reason that it just kind of stopped mattering after the Triple H feud in 2010, 2009. Well, I don't have it in front of me, so I don't remember. Whatever it is where he busted in his house and started kicking everyone's heads off. Like, that's the culmination of a great story for Randy Orton. And that really is. That whole period is great, going back. But then from that point forward, like you said, he does just become the thing that he hated, but there's no story to it. And that's where I fall down, where it's like, oh, man, I wish that they did more with that.
And I agree that I wish they would have done more with it, but that's why I think if you take it and you put it in Max's hands in the wrestling isn't wrestling format, just like he did with Triple H, he took some of the boring parts of his career, and he took Triple H. I mean, we watched Triple H be an authority figure for 4 or 5 years, and everyone I knew didn't like it, and we complained about it. And he made it sound like the coolest thing in the world, and it was a great thing. I think he could take it and he could make us think about it in a way that would be more enjoyable, and he could make it very creative. That's putting it in the format of the wrestling isn't wrestling thing, rather than the format of watching Randy Orton wrestle.
I guess what I'm feeling, what I'm trying to get to, I guess, is that the way it ends, like the Triple H story really does feel like it continues, and the Randy Orton story feels like it finished, and then now Randy's just kind of floating. I do think it'd be great if we ended it at the destruction of Legacy, like that. All that whole thing, that's great. So I guess I'm just enjoying talking about Randy Orton, really, which is not normal because I hate watching his matches. But it's not about the matches; it's just about the story and character. Michael, sorry.
I was just gonna say that I don't agree. That I think it should have ended there. That I think seeing him as the veteran now compared to what he was back then is actually very entertaining to me. Seeing him as the legend with these younger guys that he's somewhat putting over, sometimes not putting over. It's an interesting way to watch things for me. But what does Michael say?
Michael enjoys the idea of Kane's story told, and Kane makes a lot of sense. The Kane Undertaker family story. Hell, at one point, I think there's a fictionalized novel of the Undertaker story, and it was going to be at one point WWE Studios was optioning to make it actually a movie. I mean, the whole Kane thing is really interesting. but this is how Michael put it. Specifically trying to turn the entire Kane life into a coherent story would be an interesting challenge. He's a pyrotechnic murderer who swaps between supernatural creature, a Hogan fan in a mask, in a corporate suit. Kane remembers all of his continuity, but also forgives people at random while holding other grudges for entire decades. So there's a lot of gobbledygook going on in the Kane character, but it could be very intriguing to watch. That was my conjecture at the end. Kane's got a lot going on. Kane has. The reason I didn't go Kane or Undertaker is because for me the thing that makes Wrestling Isn't Wrestling so good is that he pointed out that Triple H has been consistent. His character has stayed consistent since joining the WWF. There's a slow continual arc. There's an actual story progression with him. And Kane it feels up and down and wackadoo. And that was kind of what I was getting at with Randy Orton. With I didn't think his finish did. I don't know. What do you think about Kane?
For starters, I think that Triple H definitely has some points in his career that the Wrestling Isn't Wrestling glosses over, where Triple H just sort of when during the Smackdown run where he goes to Smackdown, he's world champion, and then he stops being world champion and he tries to get DX back for a little bit, then he goes back just being a regular babyface at the top. There's plenty of time where he's not really doing at all any of the story and the character that they talk about in Wrestling Isn't Wrestling. But the thing that is so great about Wrestling Isn't Wrestling is the fact that it makes you appreciate stuff that you wouldn't have appreciated before. I think Undertaker's story and the stuff that everybody pretty much who watches wrestling, we all know what we get from The Undertaker, and we all know what there is for The Undertaker's story. And I think Kane's sort of falls in there too. My main problem with Kane's is that the ending, which is what we've been talking about a lot of, like, what is his ending? He sort of has just kind of disappeared lately. Is that sort of how the Kane story ends? Because I thought about Kane too, because the whole him coming and we find out that Undertaker did set the whole family on fire and everything, and all that stuff is so great, and he has such a good run for so long. But then, the last 3 or 4 years since Team Hell No went away, and everything has sort of it's just been a slow burn, and he's just sort of dissolved now. Now I don't even know if he's technically, because I know he wants to run for some form of office, but I don't know what he is to wrestling anymore.
I agree. I agree. Kane is Kane suffers from the fact that he's such a good wrestler and such a safe worker that they don't want to finish his story and retire him permanently. So they just kind of let him disappear. So there is no finality. There is no actual arc right now.
And that makes it seem like his character, and that's what the Wrestling Isn't Wrestling, that his character isn't out for anything. He's not trying to accomplish anything in wrestling. Yeah. So that story doesn't really translate that well. I agree with you.
I agree. I had one that I've always talked about. I talk about Lex Luger all the time. But as I was thinking about it, as much as I think Lex Luger's storyline is really great and his character is really consistent and really good, I think the wrestling part of it actually enhances the story as well. And of course, obviously the wrestling will help most of the stuff, but he's not only an obvious pick, but the actual way wrestling is booked and stuff, telling the story without the wrestling, especially when Nitro started and that year of Lex Luger's career, which is the most perfectly booked character in wrestling, it'd be too hard to remove the wrestling from it. So I decided to go a different direction with a character I find really intriguing, and that's Christian. I think Christian's story as a character, Captain Charisma, is fascinating. Especially because it does have finality. Even though he's retired by saying that he's done without not having a big retirement, he is finished. His story is done. And if he ever shows up again, it'll just be a Legends thing. And I think there's a good finality to it. It's a quieter moment, mind you, but it is still a good one. But I as I looked through his whole story, just like how Wrestling is Wrestling condensed Triple H's story down to one single idea. That Triple H's driving motivation of his whole character's career is that he is not good enough. That he thinks he's better than he is. And that's the whole story. The B-plus player that Triple H used to describe Daniel Bryan really describes himself. That's what Wrestling is in Wrestling posits. I would posit in a sequel that Christian's arc and his story is that he is afraid nobody likes him. And if you look at his whole career from that perspective, from his debut in an Edge match versus I don't remember who, and them pretending to be vampires so that this one cool guy would like them, them being Edge and Christian where they're doing everything they can to get people to like them, to Christian's flamboyant at last he's on his own that entrance music, to him and Chris Jericho, their relationship, to him and Tomko trying to take over everything, to actually starting to call himself Captain Charisma because he's so cool, everyone likes me, I'm Captain Charisma. And people boo him for it. Him calling fans the peeps. Him having a repeated talk show. Him going to TNA, actually reaching the top of the mountain at the second best company where a fourth of the viewers are. And that driving him to come back to go to the lowest totem pole at the WWE. And then actually become the real Captain Charisma that he always wanted to be, but at the bottom of the company, and then he slowly works his way up, and then he finally achieves a goal, and he finally has the people liking him. You know, you like me, you really like me. And then Randy Orton just takes it all away from him, just out of nowhere. And it makes Christian go nuts. It makes him act like an insane person, trying to get back that love that he's so afraid that nobody has for him. It's fascinating. His story is fascinating. And I love that I can actually look at the TNA run as part of the story, which is really cool to me.
Yeah, I really like that one, especially because even you were mentioning all the different ways he tried to get the fans behind him. Even when, after Randy Orton takes the belt from him and he starts losing it, he still goes out there, and when he demands the one more match against Orton every week, he tries to get the crowd to chant along with him.
Yeah.
He always goes, give me one more match, one more match, because he wants so badly to get everybody behind him, and no one's interested at that point. That is a great choice.
Yeah, even worse than not being interested, he finally reached the top, and everybody was like, yay, finally, and then he loses the title, and the one more match works for 1 week, and then the next pay-per-view comes up, and it kind of works, and then after that one, it's the fans are done. He lost everything. He not only lost the title, but he lost everyone liking him. He lost Edge, who retired. He lost everything. And then in retirement, he found he found the truth. They've always liked him, except when he's an asshole trying to get everyone to like him. And that's like the actual culmination of that story. It's wonderful. I don't even like Christian that much, but I don't like Triple H that much, but that's the point of Wrestling Isn't Wrestling. Showing you that good wrestling storylines with consistent characters it's phenomenal. It's Greek myth, it's superheroes, it is, he joined the WWE in 1998. He retired from the WWE officially or semi-officially in 2016. So that is almost 20 years of one consistent character. And that's right. Even Chris Jericho isn't a consistent character. And Jericho's one of the best characters of all time. Even Eddie Guerrero, my favorite wrestler, his character isn't actually consistent because he plays heel so hard or face so hard that they don't really connect as one character, in my opinion anyway. But Christian stays this one consistent Captain Charisma for forever. It blew my mind when I learned that Captain Charisma started in 2004.
Yeah.
That gimmick started in 2004. I had no clue.
Once he got with Trish and Tyson, yeah.
Just mind-boggling. Plus, any excuse to make TNA actually matter is really good to me. Because TNA was always so almost good.
But it still historically plays a big part in a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I like that it got connected to it.
Definitely. Because he was still Christian Cage, and he called himself Captain Charisma for the first year in TNA. So it's clearly the same character, which is nice.
And he had some okay matches over there that I actually liked.
He did. But being top of the heap at the minor leagues is not what he wanted. I'm really happy you like that one. I'm really proud of it, because I could have just done Lex Luger again, but I wanted to challenge myself to find something else.
No, I can't think of a single complaint of Christian being one. That is a really good one.
Hooray! Well, let's go ahead then and move to my favorite question of this episode. Topic number 2.
And that would be mine. Way to go, me, having a favorite.
I tend to always like yours. Yours make me do so much work. Or, I guess I should say, I always do so much work on yours. Like, remember the stupid, from an early episode where reorder all the hours, and my answer after
it was exactly
10 minutes of talking was do nothing different.
And it took me a second when you did that after I realized that you didn't change a single thing about any of the hours in WWE. But it was a nice glimpse into how your brain worked, so that was fun.
Yeah.
All right, mine is the challenge is you have to create a successful. The successful part is important. WWE Y7 show. Y7 means it is intended for audience 7 and younger. So if you are a parent, think like Paw Patrol and Peppa Pig, things along.
Is that what you? That's not what Y7 is.
Well, I'm not done talking.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry.
These are shows that fall under that. But these are shows that would be smarter for someone than we're talking Teletubbies this would be smarter than a Teletubbies show. Is that okay to say?
Oh, no, it's fine. Just when I was looking it up, I thought it was 7 and younger, but it's actually 7 to 14 is Y7.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
Yeah, so I made a 7 to 14 because that's just what Wikipedia told me Y7 was. I hope that's not a problem.
No, that's fine.
Okay. I was real worried for a second. I was like, oh no.
No, that all falls into the same what people are going to be watching.
Okay,
so cool. Your things you're trying to you have to have a roster, at least who your main people in the roster are going to be. Yeah, you have to have the name and you have to have a championship. And then if you want to give any other information about if there's a backstory, what makes the show successful, stuff like that, then you can throw any of that at me. So we will start with, I guess we can start with Michael if you gave an answer for it.
Sure, yeah, Michael has one. Michael's answer is very simple. Superstars. Superstars was the Sunday morning show, and it worked for that. Tone down the risque, more violent moments, have a lot more goofy vignettes. Think Bobby Heenan on Safari, or Ultimate Warrior being trained by Jake the Snake to have to go pick up the snakes. But also don't talk down to kids, and you have actual title matches. Just continue the actual WWE titles there. Also have the odd title change so that kids think that watching the show is important. But try to make it moral, i.e. if someone cheats, you show they are clearly in the wrong, so the refs are a little bit more in power here, clearly, because kids are watching the show. So no Hogan cheats to win, because it's okay because it's Hogan. Same with Cena, so on and so forth. It's a little more clean cut. That's his pitch.
It's a more purist thing. He's not changing the book too much. which is what I would expect from a Michael answer on something like this.
I'm having a little difficulties with my document, so why don't you go ahead and do yours if that's okay?
Mine is to take the... I don't know if they still own this name. Oh, I don't know if they still own this name. But they used to own this name. They may have let the trademark go. But to take the WWE Slam City name and make that into a 1-hour program, I don't know. And I also don't know. And this is making me not seem like a very good father. I have 3 kids, 2 stepkids, so they don't really count. But I don't know. Well, I don't watch cartoons with my stepkids on Saturdays. Is my point, because they're with their real dad. So I don't know if is Saturday morning cartoons still a thing. So I don't know if you could put it on Saturday mornings. They're not. Okay. So 1 hour. It's a 1 hour show. I'd film it at Full Sail University. Make it free to kids. I guess. I don't know. Some age and under, 9 and under, 10 and under. But you got to jack up those concession prices then if you're gonna do that crap. And it would have a superhero theme. So we'd be doing. I would take the wrestlers and I'd give them the ones on the roster would have superhero counterparts. It would look like a city, kind of not Gotham because Gotham's boring looking. It would look more like one of those fancy Marvel cities. And I have a whole backstory that is. Basically, I'll just make a basically of it. Jessel won't like it because it's about Bailey. But Bailey actually is a... We got to find something to do with Bailey. So it turns out Bailey is really great at drawing. So she starts drawing these little comic book pages and stuff where she's envisioning and fantasizing about actual success. So she's actually beating people in these comic strips that she's making because she can't do it in actual wrestling. So she's creating all this stuff, and she's going around trying to get people to look at her comic books and whatnot, but nobody cares. So then she puts on this big art show, and she's gotten that guy who does all the really cool T-shirts for them to help out. And I know there's some other wrestlers who can actually draw that do it at the fan access things, and they've come and they've helped, and they've made these characters, they've made these wrestlers look like superheroes and stuff. And it's actually really successful, and people come to it. They're really happy with Bailey. But in Bailey's comics, the Ascension are made to look like the really bad guys. So the Ascension show up and they destroy the whole art show and they rip up all the pieces of paper and they throw it all on the ground. And so Bailey falls to the ground and she's crying. But then because of some kind of dumb magic thing, the pieces of paper start floating and spinning, and it just creates this like whirlwind, and it just sucks it all and it makes it into this real thing, and it's WWE Slam City. So commentary is Booker T and Morrow. I think they're the most kid-friendly of the commentaries. I'll just go through a couple of the wrestlers because I've got like 25 of them.
Goodness.
Mainly, the top babyface would be Chad Gable. He'd be the Red Star. That would be his superhero. Bailey would be Sprinkle Girl, which is a superhero Scotland has made up, who can drop sprinkles on things. I'd have Tamina, and she'd be Crusherella, which I just love that, Crusherella. Enzo Amore, I'd have be Mr. Emoji, because I would assume the word emoji is not something that you can use without paying a huge fine for
that
using
makes
that
sense.
word. So they'd have to, make their own knockoff emojis for him, but he could be a Mr. Emoji and have emoji powers. And Cedric Alexander would be Human Dynamite, and he'd be really cool. So there's a bunch of superhero counterparts of everybody. And the championship is the Super Championship. I'd get rid of submissions, so you wouldn't have rope breaks. I'd make it where the title can change hands on disqualification and count out, because those rules are a little complicated. I mean, even adults have problems with those rules. And that's it. That's what I would do.
You have some elements of what I'm doing. I don't know if you're gonna like mine, but I like mine. So I was looking up other Y7 shows, and there's a lot more room here than I originally thought. Like Power Rangers and Avatar: The Last Airbender are Y7. So you actually, and One Piece when it was on Funimation was Y7. So it's actually a lot more room for story and for complexities than I thought. That's
why I made sure the word successful Y7 show was part of it. Not that I'm saying yours is not going to be successful, but I'm just saying since there is a lot of freedom.
I mean, I picked my things I based it on were 3 successful ones.
I don't know anything about One Piece, but yeah, I know those other two.
It's very successful.
Okay, I know nothing about it. I know you've got like the mangas at your house. That's all I know.
Yeah, it was very successful. So all of that works really well. So I want to backtrack a little bit and start with my title. I want to bring back the Hardcore Championship. Okay. Now, it will be a new Hardcore title, though it will look the same. There will be slightly different rules. The most important one is that it is defended under whatever stipulation is provided instead of just a match. Or, more importantly, it will be defended in both matches and contests. And they can be ridiculous or hardcore. So we're not talking blood, we're talking over the top and crazy. This show is going to be a mix of Power Rangers, Wipeout, G.I. Joe, and the WWE. Alright?
I love it so far.
The match types are going to generally be either regular matches or have really ridiculous stuff going on, ridiculous fun. And the characters are going to be turned up a bit. Not all the way to superhero, but they are going to be turned up. I specifically want there to be teams like G.I. Joe and Power Rangers. And I thought a really fun conceit that I really like. I don't have the opening song, or I'd play it for you, but the intro music opens with the wrestlers. They just had a hard day at Raw or Smackdown, and man, they're wiped out in the locker room. And then suddenly, light and smoke comes out of one of the lockers, and they all gather around it and open it up. And it's the urn! It's the Undertaker's urn! It's there! They're like, "Whoa, what's going on?" Of course, this is over music though, so they don't actually say anything. And then the urn opens up, and they all get sucked in. They all get sucked into the urn, and they're transported to an alternate reality, a wrestling Narnia, essentially. Then at the end of every episode, they get spat back out. So every episode has an opening. The opening music has them being sucked in and has them being spit back out and being happy about it. And yay, so there's an alternate reality thing going on. That way, I can use wrestlers without this show affecting any of their continuity in the WWE stuff, which would make WWE more willing to allow more of the silly things to happen. So, the most important thing is that Mick Foley plays King Hardcore, and he presides over this alternate reality world, and sets up the contests and stipulations, the MXC wipeout type stuff. There's actually wrestling matches sometimes too, all that stuff. And they film it outside, so it actually has this weird feel. The WWE's always inside, so you actually film it outside.
Oh, that's genius. I love that.
So you have adventure, excitement, wrestling, and magic and betrayal. But every episode ends with all of them being transported to the locker room, smiling, laughing, having a good time. Because we can have the faces, the good guy team, have defectors and stuff. So my crew is the people who all get sucked in are... I'll tell you the good guys and then the bad guys. The Power Squad will be Zack Ryder, Chad Gable, Apollo Crews, Akira Tozawa, Aaliyah, and Ember Moon. If you don't know Aaliyah, she is a terrible wrestler in NXT who is I think she's Indian descent, but I'm not sure. But she's a former circus performer. She's got a good look, and I think this would be a good place for her to get known. And same with Ember Moon. All my women are actually NXT women. The Doom Crew, the bad guys, are the Ascension. We got some crossover.
Yeah, baby.
The New Night. In the first episode, the New Day get sucked in with everybody, but they land in a weird wrestle goo, and it turns them into their evil alter egos, the New Night. Because awesome. The three of them would love doing that, and I think it'd be great. And then I'd have Billie Kay and Peyton Royce as the bad girls. So those are our two teams, with King Hardcore, Mick Foley, presiding, and he sets up what the match contests are for the hardcore title, and the hardcore title gives you some powers over things, and so on and so forth. And I would call it WWE Wrestle World.
I love it.
I really want to watch it. The New Night. New Night!
New Night.
Big Evil.
I love the being outdoors part. I love the two separate teams part. I think
X-Woods.
the only issue you'd run into with the entire thing would be that in a wipeout format, the risk of injury would be.
I actually looked it up. The amount of injuries on MXC and Wipeout are shockingly low. I.e.,
Yeah?
like one in a couple seasons.
Okay, well,
A
good.
legit injury. Like they do everything they can because they're regular people and don't want to get sued. Like there are certainly like bang ups, like oh no, bang up or my ankle, like sprains or something. But I don't think there's been a major injury on those shows like basically ever. And that was what was so important to me. That's why all the mud and water and soft bits are about.
I would assume that in this, like the wipeout competitions are still scripted, right? They're still
it's all
scripted winner.
Yeah.
Okay, so it would be
It's
also
all scripted, and then that
lower the
way
risk
you
of
can
injury.
have. Plus, that way you can have betrayals to your teams and all these weird storyline Transformer style, like Starscream turning on the Decepticons and then back, and then the Green Ranger storyline, and they try to save him and he becomes a good guy. Like all those great storyline stuff that are in these great Y7 shows. They are in wrestling, but wrestling's I don't know what to call it. It's difficulty gap. It's amount of reality makes it hard to buy it. So with a more weird, fun world, we can do those bigger storyline things. Plus, I wanted to make sure we had a very diverse cast. Because all Y7 shows have incredibly diverse casts.
Yeah, I like the bringing up the NXT people. I didn't even think about that. And you know, I love Billy Kay. I love Billy Kay.
Billy Kay and Peyton Royce, I love them. And I honestly think that if Aaliyah could just get good, if she could just stop smiling in the ring all the time, if she could just drop this stupid kitty cat thing that has nothing to do with her circus background, like if she could just tighten up her character, Aaliyah could be good. I remember watching NXT when the WWE Network started, and all of us hating Sasha Banks because she was floating around. She was there was nothing to her, but she's become one of the greatest women of the current era. Arguably, you could compare her to the women of previous eras, and she's better than a lot of them, if not most. Though that is because the curve is a little low because of the Diva Search women.
Yeah,
but Aaliyah just needs an opportunity, and I think that circus stuff and all that character stuff could really work. Plus, Ember Moon, the thing that makes Ember Moon cool is her character, and NXT keeps trying to get her to stop doing her character and be more realistic. Screw realistic. Make her be a werewolf girl. Werewolf girl Amethyst is super cool. Making her just be, oh, I lost again. My contacts aren't on. My shoulder hurts. Man, I just wish I had one more chance.
we're just not in that age of wrestling anymore. Everybody's scared to do that.
Wrestle World will bring it back.
I like it. I would
glad.
watch. I would watch it. Absolutely. I would get up early on Saturdays to watch it.
I wouldn't do that, but that's because I don't have TV. But I'd download it. I'd certainly watch all of it on the network. With all of that, it is time to move on to our final topic. Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
As you can probably guess, we have a pay-per-view, so that means that we're going to have predictions. Battleground is real placeholder.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this card. It really, really, really looks like they're just buying time.
Which hopefully means there's a big surprise in store somewhere. But
hopefully, but who knows? There are 7 matches on the card, including the pre-show. So let's get down to it. First on the pre-show will be Ty Dillinger versus Aiden English.
I think Aiden English was gonna win this one. He's getting a lot of TV time. He's gotten some actual matches on TV. He got some offense on Randy Orton like a month ago. So I could see them giving Aiden English a win.
Michael and I both have Ty Dillinger as the winner. I don't know Michael's reasoning. He just gave me his outcomes. But I know for me, it seems pretty clear to me that the U.S. title, I've been saying this for months. The U.S. title is the top title on SmackDown. They have their top contenders fighting for it. It's the main event slot every night. So that means they need to build up mid-card guys to fight Jinder Mahal, because I think this Randy Orton story is going to be over with at this pay-per-view. Or God, I hope so. But we'll see. So I think Ty Dillinger, he had a decent match with Jinder Mahal before, so I think we could transition to Ty Dillinger being a little bit more serious in a contest with Jinder Mahal. A shock win over him on a SmackDown non-title something could set it all up. I don't know, something like that. But so I think Ty Dillinger's the one with the upward momentum, and Aiden English is currently staying where he is. But either way, I hope both guys do well, but that's just my best guess. A lot of this is very, very coin flip. I don't know if that's the same feel for you, but it was for me for a lot of these.
Yeah.
Next up is supposedly going to open with the Punjabi prison match. Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton.
I think that this is going to continue into SummerSlam. So I think Randy Orton's going to win.
Oof, man. I picked Jinder to win. Michael also picked Jinder to win. Mostly because I don't want Orton to have another championship. Him holding the belt is so uninteresting. Jinder needs it to look like a real champ. He needs a definitive win, and if he could get a real definitive win here, like Randy somehow brutalizes the Singh brothers in the first 3 minutes and they're out the whole match, and Jinder still gets a win, still can actually look legit. That's what he needs as a character. That's what I'd hope for. So that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm going for. But I just want it to be over. And I do think it's going to be Cena versus Jinder Mahal at SummerSlam. So that's why Jinder has the win for me. I interrupted you at one point. I apologize.
Yeah, I don't remember what I was going to say now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Next up, New Day versus the Usos for the Tag Championship. In a non-gimmick match, surprisingly. I thought they'd put a gimmick match on this.
This is the most coin flippy for me out of the matches. I will say the Usos because I've already got a title change.
Gotcha. I think, and Michael did the same. I know, so far we're 3 for 3. I think that this is going to be a New Day win by DQ. Usos retain, because I think what we're building up to is a SummerSlam gimmick match. That way they did a win with a countout. They did a DQ, so we need either ladder match or a street fight or last man standing or golly, shut up, whoever is dingle dangling at me on my damn Facebook. I don't care.
Jesus. I couldn't hear no dingle dangle.
Yeah, I know. I have to ignore it because I don't think it's actually picked up by the microphone. But it was really frustrating me. But yeah, I think SummerSlam is going to lead to the third match, with some kind of stipulation match. To really set that up, it's Usos lose by countout and retain. Usos lose by DQ and retain. So I think New Day wins.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
actually makes a lot of sense.
Next up, Cena versus Rusev in a flag match.
Gotta be Cena.
Yeah, it's gotta be Cena. All three of us have Cena. Like I said, Cena versus Jinder is my SummerSlam WWE title match idea. So it's gotta be a Cena win here. Now, if I remember correctly, a flag match is you beat up the other guy so much you can go get your flag off a pole and wave it, and that means you win. Right? Is that the actual stipulations?
I thought for sure that's what it was, and then Cena, when he was talking on Smackdown, he said at the end of at Battleground, you're gonna see me waving Old Glory or whatever. So it would seem like that is him confirming that is how you do it.
All right. It's one of the weirdest stipulations, but it is an old school one. So I looked up like the history of it just to see, and it's actually got some history to it. So I'm not too mad about it. They don't do it too often. They just do it with Rusev all the time. So I don't mind.
Yeah, Battleground's going with the matches with the weird stipulations.
Yeah. Next up is the best match on the card, hardest one to determine, and the one I'm most interested in, the 5-way elimination match for the number one contendership for Naomi's championship. Charlotte versus Becky versus Natalya versus Tamina versus Lana. Carmella, who's holding the briefcase, and Naomi, who's holding the championship, are not in this match, which means we'll probably see them interact in some way, or maybe they'll be out on commentary because they're building up that story there. So there's two really interesting things going on, which is what I was talking about earlier. I'll tell you Michael's first, because we disagree here. Michael has a Charlotte win.
Okay. Yeah,
he didn't tell me who gets pinned in what order or anything, but yeah, Charlotte win.
Is a tough one. You kind of have to go the process, start at the bottom and erase people's names, and it's really tough. And I do agree that it should be the best match, and it is the one I'm most excited about seeing. I am on Becky Lynch right now as winning it, which I know goes against convention since she won on SmackDown, blah, blah, blah. But SummerSlam likes to have at least one or two babyface versus babyface matches. That tends to be a thing at SummerSlam.
Oh, really?
So I could see that happening. Are you going to look it up? I might be wrong. Now I'm going to feel like a dingus.
Oh, no, I'm not trying to prove you wrong. I'm just really interested. It's like, oh, that's cool. I never knew.
It feels like it, at least to me.
I always knew that SummerSlam was, ever since the Attitude Era, SummerSlam has been the only pay-per-view that's really retained the baby faces should really win here vibe that WrestleMania used to have. Now Attitude Era has made WrestleMania be more even keel, but SummerSlam has always felt to me like this is the good guys' night.
And that might be why my brain feels like it's more baby faces versus baby faces, just because it's more baby faces winning.
Yeah.
I do see Becky Lynch versus Naomi.
Do you think she's gonna turn heel? Because I hear rumors of that around a lot.
Who, Becky?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have not heard that rumor ever, so I have not thouought about it.
Oh, gotcha.
So giving an answer would be premature.
Sure. I actually think it's going to be Tamina. The storylines that I've been seeing on SmackDown is that somehow Lana has Tamina not helping her, but like Tamina's treating Lana like a dog. That sounds very bad because they're women. I don't mean that way. I mean, she's treating her like a pet, like someone she has to look after. There's some weird connection going on there, and I think that that's a story that they're building. So that means that I think that's where I think we're moving towards. And I do think it'll end up being like a Lumberjill match, probably. That way the other women who are important to the plot of the SmackDown women's side are going to be featured on SummerSlam. But I think it's going to be Tamina. I don't know if Tamina's going to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if she hurts Naomi enough that like Carmella wins. That's kind of what I'm looking at SummerSlam. That's my feel, but I'm not sure. But I think a Tamina win here is really unexpected and a really cool move. I think it's a really smart move because I don't think it's going to be Charlotte or Becky, mostly because of the Becky won on SmackDown, so that means I'm not picking her. And Charlotte is currently a full-blown babyface on SmackDown, so I do think Naomi's going to have a heel to go against. And it feels like this Lana Tamina thing might be all part of the same story. And Tamina's never really gotten the rub, and I don't actively feel like she deserves to win because she's been here so long. But I do think that she's just the right skill set to make Naomi look great. So I think it'd be really cool. Natalya was my second pick for that reason, and I actually have Natalya taking off Naomi in my BTFI, the Booker T Fantasy Invitational, but this Lana Tamina thing is really interesting to me. So I got Tamina. I'm taking a gamble because she is the second least likely winner. But I'm taking a gamble. Next up, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Baron Corbin.
Ugh. Shinsuke wins because Shinsuke usually wins, and because Baron Corbin has the briefcase, and that means you lose.
I also have a Shinsuke win because I think Shinsuke is Shinsuke undefeated since coming up to the roster in singles matches.
In singles, yeah, he's undefeated singles.
I think they'd continue that going. Shinsuke win. Plus, if they're gonna push someone to the moon, it's gonna be someone I don't like. So that means it'll be Shinsuke. So Shinsuke is gonna win. Just tends to be how WWE likes it. The guys I like, they don't push. Sad. Michael actually has Corbin over Nakamura, and I really would love to know his thought process.
No,
I can only offer conjecture. What do you think? Why do you think he went Corbin over Nakamura? Because that's very interesting.
I could see that so many times with the Money in the Bank winner, they've sort of booked them the same way, where you have them lose and lose and lose. So when they cash in, they've sort of faded away, and then they cashed in, there they are. So I could see that his argument being they're gonna try to do Baron Corbin differently to make him special. So actually have him win some high profile matches. So when he does cash in, he's like a huge threat already. That could be a way to go about doing it, and that would be a pretty cool way of doing it.
Honestly, I don't know what his thought process is, but if I was to pick Corbin over Nakamura, I think it would be the exact opposite reasoning that I gave for my Nakamura win. It's to go ahead and burst the bubble on him, his single match win streak. Just go ahead and kill it. This Battleground. It's not going to matter to Nakamura's history in the WWE. That way, Shinsuke will not get hurt with a loss, and Corbin will get something out of a win. Whereas if Shinsuke wins, he won't get much, and Corbin losing won't do much. So it's interesting.
I'm kind of getting the feeling, and I may be off, but it kind of feels like WWE is starting to see that they don't have as big of a superstar in Shinsuke as they might have thought. So I don't know. It should be interesting to see what they do through SummerSlam with it being so big. I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the year Shinsuke has been pulled back on quite significantly.
Well, that tends to be how Vince does it. If they don't catch on in 3 weeks, he's done with them.
Yeah.
Last match of the night, and supposedly the main event, AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens for the U.S. title that AJ won last week at a house show.
I would say AJ Styles is going to win this one. It just seems really weird to take the belt off of him that quickly.
Yeah,
and I've been hearing the complaints of that right now there are so many anti-America top heels on Smackdown, and having so many of them in title pictures is getting it is getting annoying. If it was up to me, I wouldn't take Kevin Owens out. as far as that goes. But I think AJ Styles wins.
Man, Michael has AJ is the winner, and I do too. But there's got to be something to this. I feel like I have to live in a world where there is logic behind the decision to put the title on AJ in Madison Square Garden. Like all the other big title changes that have happened had logical reasoning. Either they were in their hometown, or they needed to boost people up for a pay-per-view coming in a couple months. Some backstage politicking where somebody didn't want to lose to someone else, so they had a transitional period. In a win at a house show, or you have an injury, but I can't for the life of me.
Yeah, it might just be something special they tried, which is fine.
Where does the U.S. title go from here?
Well, do you believe that going into SummerSlam, it's going to remain the main focus of SmackDown? Or do you think it's...
Man, I don't know. I really don't know. Probably. Yeah, probably. I would say yes. Even with my thought that it'll be Cena versus Jinder for the WWE, I do think they'd keep the U.S. title higher on the card on the episodes of SmackDown. Who knows where it'd be on SummerSlam, but on episodes of SmackDown, I do think so.
You're not going to get a lot of wrestling out of Jinder and Cena, so I don't see them main eventing many SmackDowns.
Yeah, I have
that feud.
They open a bunch of SmackDowns talking at each other.
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Maybe they are building. Maybe they are. You know, a couple months ago, somebody pointed out. It might have been you. I don't remember that Jericho's touring season. His finishes up just in time for right around now.
Yes, that was me. I have Jericho and Owens fighting again at SummerSlam.
Yeah, so maybe that's what's happening here. I don't want that to be the case, but maybe that's what's going on. Owens will lose here because Jericho and that feud gets rekindled for one more big boy. The third match of them. The third big match, I guess. They've already had 3 matches.
Yeah.
But maybe. Man, I don't know. But yeah, AJ Styles to retain for me, to win. It's just very intriguing. It's an introspective little finish to that. As we just sit here and stare. Do you have anything you want to sign off with? Do you have anything else you want to say or do?
I don't have anything special. I hope Michael feels better.
I do too. Well, then I suppose that we're done. Bye, folks.
Bye, everybody.